It's absolutely something I love about Noodlers Inks. Let me see if I can get this camera to focus on you. You get this great bottle, 3 ounces, and this is Apache Sunset. It's a really beautiful orange ink, and when I was a kid, orange is my favorite color. Red, orange, yellow, anything like that. You know, just the warmer colors. I always loved summertime. Love orange. And my grandfather, we used to go and get Orange Crush sodas down at the store. He'd give me money. He'd say, Bubba, go and get me an Orange Crush. It kind of gets that feeling of opening a bottle of Orange Crush. So, what do I like about Noodlers Inks? This bottle is literally filled right to the brim. And Nathan does these himself, so I'll show you how you feel. Pen, I got a converter, it's a piston filler. No different than having one that's built in. This one just happens to come off. Same process, you have a piston. It raises, whether it's the blind cap that comes off, raises that piston, and it fills it. You see I have some of it in here. Be very, very careful with this. Some is dripping out. Okay, so I got the piston all the way down. I'm going to sit this in here and hopefully not overfill this and spill the container. Shall we try? I think we can do this. Now you want to be very careful. You want to have the nib and the feed submerged right at that place where your finger touches. And after you do this, you're going to want to clean that, but okay. Can we try this? Going down a little bit. There we go. I'm going to tap this, just run this right along the lip, getting that excess. Cap back on. Now, you're going to want to take a paper towel here. You're going to want to go real quickly against the nib. There you can see that orange. It looks like a sunset. Run it right along. My finger will touch. Clean that off. Now, if you have an actual Noodler's pen, you won't have to do this. It'll all be built in. But if you have a Conklin like this one, just simply, I always like to put a little bit of silicone grease right here. Because anywhere you have plastic and metal, you don't want silicone grease anywhere on a nib. You want to be very careful of that. And then cap your pen and you're ready to go. Let's see how she writes. Paper towel gives you great chromatography for this ink. See, it's darker oranges to lighter as it comes out. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of red. Really beautiful. I have this letter this gentleman wrote me. He's running for Congress. I'm really not too interested in that, but it gives me a great piece of paper in the back to test with. Just regular, everyday copy paper. So, it keeps up very well. That quick brown fox jumping over the lazy dog. There's every letter of the alphabet in it, and See, it's a lot like a highlighter type of ink, but it's not. It has some shading. On this paper, imagine not so much, but I'm going to do a little bit of a test here with the ink. See a Conklin nib. I see. And go back over this again. Get some of those dark colors to come out. You can see some of the chromatography, the difference in if you were using, say, an ink like this and a paper like rhodium or a more fountain pen friendly ink, you would get shading in these hues right here, darker to the lighter, and it would give your letters a more nuanced color. Now, okay, if you have a pen like this, it's the same concept. This is Noodlers Conrad in vegetable resin rather than acrylic. It has a blind cap that comes off on this end, and here is your piston right in here, and this controls it. Same concept to how to fill it this way. You just don't have the converter. If you have a pen like this little Papermate, this little cheap thing that's kind of cute, it's a eyedropper. You can eyedropper this. What you would do is you would unscrew this part, take an eyedropper and fill it up so right up below the threads. Add a little bit of silicone grease and you're ready to go just as well. Same thing, just not as fancy of a pen and not as expensive. More of a throwaway type of pen. So what do I like and what do I not like about Apache Sunset? I like this ink. I like oranges. I think it's more of like a highlighter type of color. It's light, it's nuanced, it's not a real dark color. It's not a work ink, but it's great if you're writing a letter. I like a darker ink for work, blacks, blues, even if I read black. This is not too bad. This is fun. This is a fun ink for journaling. It's a fun ink for writing a letter to your girlfriend. It's a fun ink to writing a letter to your boyfriend if you are a girl and writing it, or whatever your so desired person is. It gives some expression to it. It gives some color. It reminds you of being in the Southwest. It reminds you of those cliffs, the sandstone. It reminds you of the sunsets. It reminds you of the Southwest, the Four Corners region. I love that. But also, it's a lighter ink, so you have to think about it. It's not really waterproof. It's not water resistant. If you're looking for something that's going to be archival, this is not your ink. You're going to want something more like the Bad Belted Kingfisher series or the Warden series of Noodlers inks, which will literally last forever, or something like a Bay State Blue, you know. Problem with red inks is that they tend to stain a pen a lot more than the bluer inks. So this is a way to get around that using a more highlighted ink, really beautiful color variations in it, and yeah, it's not going to be as tough as, let's say, Black Swan and Australian roses, or Black Swan and English roses, or Noodler's Red Black. Beautiful ink. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I think it could be a little darker, but the shading does make up for that.